Hello everyone, this video, as you can see by the title slash thumbnail, and then a few pictures that I'm going to be displaying throughout this video, I plan to keep it a little bit short compared to my other uploads, just because, I don't want to make a whole thing, I don't want to make a bunch of content about this, but I'd say collectively as Americans, I encourage you to talk about this. We need to raise more awareness about this. This should have never happened. There, 67 souls, 67 innocent lives were lost because of the helicopter plane Washington, D.C. crash that happened recently. Happened like last night. As Americans, if we don't speak up right now and make a big deal out of it and, say our 2 cents of why did this happen? Why was there such lack of awareness on, I don't know who is at fault here. Was it the helicopter driver? The helicopter pilot? Was it the plane pilot? Or was there just some sort of technicality? Was there some sort of radar issue? If we don't raise awareness about this, it's more likely to happen. This should have never happened. We're at the peak of technology when it comes to stuff like this. We're at the peak of aircraft information. How can the airline not have readings on other aircrafts in the airspace? This is something that you would think that the companies, the multi-billion-dollar companies that were funding both of these aircrafts, they would have readings on each other and say, oh, okay, we gotta look out. This guy's in the air. There's another aircraft in our way. There seems to be much more than what lies on the surface of this whole accident. It seems to be, you look at the comment sections on some of these videos that we're covering, and it's like, okay, a lot of people have woken up. People are saying, I wonder who was on that plane, trying to indicate that someone important was on that plane and they had to die through a means which appeared to look like an accident. From my perspective, I'd say it's a little too soon to tell if it was like an inside job, some sort of mission that was carried out, perhaps a hijacking of the helicopter, who knows? A terrorist tech? We don't know yet. But what we can do now is, for the sake of for the redemption of those 67 souls that were lost, we need to talk about it. We need to do something about this. And like I said, if you can, make videos about it. Talk about it. Put yourself on, make a video just talking about it, raising awareness. We're in a time where there's so much advanced technology, so much new innovations, and these aircraft accidents are still happening. It's like all that airspace, radars, communication teams, radios, all that, and we can't 100% stop this issue, this is either some sort of look, and I'm not trying to be all conspiracy theorist on this channel, but from what I see, that might be the ultimate explanation. The ultimate reason is that someone important was on that plane. Someone that I don't know if you want to call them the elitists. The lizard people wanted to shut them up, wanted them down. Perhaps they knew something, they knew too much. Perhaps an ex-elitist member was flying on that plane, and so many lives were lost. Another explanation could be, you know, people were people who weren't qualified, who were employed, who were in charge of the safety of flying that aircraft, checking the radar, making sure that the airspace was clear, that the airspace was, clear and safe for aircrafts to safely fly in. Those people may not have been qualified for that role. Something we've also seen with the Southern California fires. We've seen that in spots of government. We've seen it in many, many important roles of society. We've seen people who weren't qualified for that job who were hired for the sake of diversity. And that's one of the most tragic things. You wouldn't look, if you're building a house, you wouldn't hire someone who didn't have, okay, if you're building a house, you wouldn't get architects and contractors that weren't qualified. You wouldn't get a man with no arms or legs to build your house. You wouldn't trust an Uber driver who had mental issues, who was clearly a schizo, who saw things that weren't there. Every job, especially a job with severe consequences if done incorrectly, any job of severity, you want them to be qualified. You don't want someone who's an alcoholic who who aggressively shakes if they don't drink to do your surgery for you. You want someone with a steady hand. Now, that being said, we're seeing all this unfold. I'm not trying to be super political or like I told you so, but those of us who voted this time around and we voted red, I'd say most of us who did, we can rest easy knowing that we made a good decision and we voted the right man into office to help us out. And not even trying to glaze Trump, but I'm just saying, one of the things he says, he's on the side of common sense. I'm grateful that for the next few years, we're going to have common sense, people of common sense in control of the United States. And hopefully, this is the last time an accident ever happens like this in the United States. And yeah, this is so tragic. So sad for the families of anyone who was related to the victims of this crash. May they fly high. And May their soul rest.